Right now it's time to mark the week, and joining me to do that is stand-up comedian Lewis Schaefer. Lewis Schaefer, how you doing?
Hello, Nana. I'm doing beautiful. Every time I'm with you, I'm doing amazing.
You are, aren't you, lad?
People are beginning to talk about us.
Are they?
I think they are.
What do they say?
Well, whatever I tell them, what's happening. Just a lot. I make it up.
So it's been a bit of a busy week for poor Boris. I mean, they just won't leave the man alone, surely.
Well, you know what? They have to pick on somebody because they're all in on it. They've made him a scapegoat, and I think he's a perfect scapegoat because he's so big. The fact is that they're all bad. They're all in on it. Take the whatchamacallit, the Partygate stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They all knew.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knew. Everybody knew. And if they're at a party and there are hundreds of people at this party or these parties and not one person said, hey, wait a second, we're going to die of the COVID, maybe they didn't think they were going to die from the COVID.
But the whole idea of it was that you had a support bubble. You're in your bubble, so the people in your work and so on and so forth, you're all in the same bubble. And the objective was not to spread the virus onto people outside, everybody in the same bubble. So if you were doing something in your work environment, even I thought that was in the rules. I'm not making the rules,
right,
but I thought that was. So now they're going on and on about this nonsense. It's like, oh, just move on.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it was that way. I think people were told to keep a social distance, and there were people maybe in the bubble, but it wasn't that big a bubble.
My bubble got bigger.
It got bigger, but it's not. You're not having dozens of people at these parties.
Yeah, but they're at work.
It doesn't matter. They're going home. It's like that guy Neil Ferguson, that man Neil Ferguson who created have you heard of the Ferguson syndrome?
No.
Where just because the more education and the more credentials you have, the more of an idiot you are.
Have you heard of the Ferguson syndrome?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I don't like this Boris Johnson. I don't care one way or the other. I don't live in this country. I live in this country, but I'm not of this country. You want to decide who you want to have. But the fact is, everybody knew that the COVID thing wasn't as dangerous as they said it was. They all knew. Everyone in that room knew. Half the people by this time at this point knew. We all, I mean,
I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. I just went along with whatever it was. I listened to the rules because I thought, we'll just go along with it. There's no real... it wasn't any real harm to me. I was still working. I was still doing my thing.
Yeah.
So I just went along with it because also, if it did go the wrong way, which we're lucky it didn't, then we would be looking at something far worse. So for me, I thought it's better to be over-cautious than under-cautious.
And a lot of people thought
that. That's all it was.
We didn't get the information on this. Maybe I shouldn't say this.
Say what you got to say.
I think the whole thing was a lie. COVID was a lie from start to finish.
Millions of people died, though. A lot of people died. So it's all very well you saying that. But
this is my last time on the show.
If you have a relative who died of COVID, you wouldn't be saying that.
But did they die of COVID? Or did they die of medical malpractice by being put on ventilators unnecessarily in hospitals? Were they given excess drugs unnecessarily? Were they denied the love of their family?
But these are all questions that you're asking. But at the end of the day, what was happening is they were trying to save lives. And some people did well on ventilators, other people didn't do well. It was a whole situation that we'd never been in. So they did their best. So to be honest, some people didn't get to the ventilator, didn't get to any of those things, and they still died of COVID. So I just think that there you're sort of touching on something that... it's not... COVID wasn't just a cold. I mean, remember, it was a multi-organ situation with cytokine storms and things like that, which were deadly to some people and not others. And I think, you can't call that.
I can, and I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it. And I think I'm going to call it. And every single day that we live, the people are beginning to see that it was all...
No, but it got milder and milder and milder, so the disease got weaker. Anyway, let's move on. What about...
Sorry about that. Was that too much? Was that too much?
No, we got so much more to talk about.
But I just want the people to know that that there are people out there from day one who did not believe in the COVID narrative.
But there are people
and more don't believe in it now.
No, but there are people who did believe in it, and I believed in it. And actually, what happened with the virus is it actually got weaker and weaker and weaker. So that's why we can talk about it now and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. But equally, it could have gone the other way, and we wouldn't be speaking like this, and lots of us wouldn't be here.
You know what? Just because you say that, Nana, doesn't make it true.
Well, same to you. Same to you. Right, now let's move on, because we've got loads.
Is this our first fight?
We're going to have quite a scrap on it. No, because we've got to move on, because I want to talk about the other stuff as well. So there's also, obviously, the story with regard to, should we go Harry and Meghan, or should we go ITV?
I hope so.
Let's go Harry and Meghan. Let's talk about them.